Yep, we're back with more OG Smite Facts. As always, if you have any other OG facts you think are worth sharing, then leave them down below and they might make it into a part 4 of this series. And if you enjoy reminiscing about old Smite, then don't forget to subscribe. I try to make a few Smite history related videos when I can, so I'm sure there's more for you where this came from. But anyway, let's get into these OG facts. So first up is a very OG fact. I'm talking closed beta Smite here, before even I was playing the game. And I've played for 6 years. So the fact itself is related to a very old version of Gauntlet of Thebes. This item has undergone countless reworks over the years to get it into the form it's in currently, but back in closed beta, it was in the form of an item that came with an enormous base HP pool, 600 for the version of the item that I couldn't cover, and a passive that increased your maximum health by 15%, including any health you gain from items. So using this item, which itself gives 690 health when you account for the passive, on a level 20 Ymir which has 2590 base HP, you ended up with around 3670 HP just from one item on a level 20 Ymir. Due to this incredibly exploitable passive on Gauntlet of Thebes, it was actually possible to reach the max HP hard cap of 5500 back in closed beta. Playing Ymir and spamming 5 other high HP items like Old Stone of Gaia in your other slots, you could easily reach this cap. As far as I know, this hasn't been possible since, so that's a really cool OG fact for you. So we just went hyper OG with that last one, but we're bringing it back a little closer to what some of you guys watching may have experienced with number 2, that being the active system. So this is less so OG than it is just a fun thing to reminisce about in old Smite. So the active system was the predecessor to Smite's current relics, and a lot of the relics that we have today are designed based on the actives. It's pretty hard to sum up what actives were all about in a video format like this where I only have a bit of time to cover each one, but essentially actives were 3-tiered instead of 2-tiered, and cost 300 gold per tier rather than free and then a 500 gold upgrade like it works with relics. There were classics such as Blink, Beads, Aegis and Shell, but also some unique to the active system like Achilles Spear and Single Target Sprint from back in the day. And while actives were only removed a bit over 3 years ago, they still hold a special place in my heart, and I'm sure in the hearts of a lot of you watching that played Smite prior to Season 3. And we're straight back to Mega OG with number 3, that being Alpha Hell. So surprisingly little is actually available out there about Alpha Hell beyond speculation and stories about what people experienced in Smite's earliest days. Thus, this entry is sorta hard to talk about given I have no personal experience to rely on like I do for actives for example, but Alpha Hell I've heard was something to be feared. With her Light Stance 1 I believe being some kind of channeled heal beam from what I've heard, and her Repulse easily hitting for over 1000 damage and a massive AoE around her. As I mentioned, I can't exactly provide you with more than folktales on this one as there's no hard evidence of Alpha Hell's numbers that I could find, but if you were around for this one in 2012, you 100% have the right to call yourself a Smite OG. So at number 4 is back to something probably a lot of you will recognise even if you weren't around in beta Smite, that being Domination. Now of course the reason you all recognise this is because of the Celestial Domination Adventure mode that we had in Season 5. But to experience the true Domination mode as it was back in Smite's beta was something for true OGs. Sadly I was just short on playing this mode by a few months when I joined the game as it was removed before I got the chance. There's not much more I can say about Domination that can't be explained by taking a look at the Celestial Domination Adventure, so I'll leave this one here. But a limited time adventure mode can't really compare to the real thing in my personal opinion. So we've been going pretty hard for this video so far with entire game modes, item systems and god releases. Let's dial that back a bit with some trolling. Yeah, I mean literally. Anyone who remembers the various troll faces printed onto old maps in Smite's beta is a true OG. Not only did you have to play the game back in 2012 and 2013, you also had to play enough and pay enough attention to find relatively small, compared to the map at least, troll faces placed delicately by the high-res design team around the old Conquest and Joust maps back in the day. This isn't one that newer players are going to be sad they missed, I'd imagine, but it's a really cool callback for those who have played this game for probably way too much of their lives. We miss you, troll faces. Okay, fine, I'll add Hastened Fatalis to an OG Facts video. Jesus, just stop commenting about it. Okay, I'm only half serious with that, but goddamn, I wouldn't class Fatalis as an OG, really. But the sheer amount of people who wanted to see this item make it into a Smite history video made me add it anyway. Well done, peer pressure, you win again. Let's just hope you guys aren't as mad as my teacher when she found that curled up poo on her desk. So do I really need to go into details about Hastened Fatalis? I mean maybe, since I'm sure Season 5 and 6 and the Switch release has brought in a good chunk of fresh faces to the Smite community. So Fatalis was an item that was completely fine for most of Smite's history and was a niche pickup on some gods and fun for meme builds. But high res and fun don't mix so well, so they buffed the item so much that it became a mainstay in every hunter build. For those unaware, Hastened Fatalis was a version of the current Hastened Katana and Hastened Ring that could be built on any class, including hunters. So yeah, hunters abused the item more than Chris Brown abused Rihanna, and it got removed and reworked into what we have now. That's the story of Hastened FATALIS in a nutshell. So at number 7, we have Smite without Cripples. Yeah, you heard me right. Cripples did not exist in the early builds of Smite. Makes me wish I could teleport Artio back in time, to be honest, but yeah, Cripples weren't in the game for Alpha and some of Smite's beta as well. The first cripple to ever be added to the game was with Poseidon's Whirlpool upon his release in February 2013. So anyone who started playing Smite before that date has played a version of the game where Cripples simply did not exist. Hey Artio, you should go... Oh, did I already make a joke about Artio? Fatio. Number 8. This is Old Hebo, or Lieutenant Flappy Sleeves, as he was affectionately known by the Smite community during Alpha and Beta due to the, yeah, I think you can probably guess why he had this nickname. Anyone who played back when this Hebo model was in the game is definitely an OG. At number 9 is Old Neja being able to activate his 2 and bypass the attack speed cap of 2.5 attacks per second. So I'm not 100% familiar with how this worked in terms of the actual implementation, so if anyone more knowledgeable than me is watching, then please feel free to explain down below how this was actually possible. But the basic premise was that Neja could buy a ton of attack speed, reach the attack speed cap of 2.5, and then activate his 2 to gain a massive burst of attack speed. Now in any normal case of an attack speed steroid, like Artemis 2 for example, 2.5 is a hard cap and even steroids can't exceed it. But Neja's was different for some reason, probably a bug, and would allow him to boost well over 3.0 attack speed with crits galore. From what I've heard, it was quite insane and definitely something OG Smite players will remember if you played back then. Sadly, I was too late for this one though, boys. Send your condolences along with an emote chest to me in game, please and thank you. And finally, Hand of the Gods. This one is more of just something that a lot of people can look back on fondly, not necessarily something that's super OG. But the old days of support with Hand of the Gods securing the objectives like Nobody's Business and junglers upgrading into Fist of the Gods to stun lock enemies, and even the enabling of Loki mid back in the day because you could hog the 3 archers at wave 1. This active has to be one of my all-time favourites Smite has ever been graced with, and I think a lot of us miss it fondly. I know I could have talked about this one in the active section, but technically Hog was a relic as well for a short time before being removed. Plus, I thought if any active item deserved its own mention in a video, then this one had to be it. But that's it from me for this trip down memory lane / educational lesson on Smite history, depending on how long you've been playing personally. If you did enjoy, don't hesitate to send it to your friends so they can join in the nostalgia vibes, and subscribe for more if you want to do it yourself, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great day, and peace out, you nerds.